Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to my battle mage. About a year ago, I embarked on a journey to join in on this new server that just started in Hyperion, and the main goal for this server was just to start again from scratch and see how far I could take a character with a pretty much brand new beginnings and see how far I can go. My original goal with this character was actually only originally to solo Hard Lotus, much like how I did in a previous series on my channel with my Corsair. And I thought that was a pretty fair challenge in of itself, and recreating everything again in a new server was kind of a fun idea. And what ended up happening was that I really enjoyed myself working on this solo progression, and I really enjoyed my class, so I decided to of course push a little bit further than my original goal of Hard Lotus. And what started off as Hard Lotus became Hard Will, and then Hard Will became Hard Vihila. And then after about 6 or so months of playing on this character, I finally got the clear onto Black Mage solo, getting all of my items, my links, my legion, made from scratch. Got all my items myself, didn't join any parties, and yeah, it was a pretty big achievement for me at the time, and now I'm kind of surprised to see myself where I am. As you guys can see now, I am currently level 280. Over the last couple of months, we've had a few leveling events, and I made good use out of the Night Troop event, which is why I didn't really make any updates on my Battle Mage, just training it all the way to level 280, and I'm actually a little bit under 281, although I haven't really trained on my Battle Mage for a little bit, but I figured it is time for me to make another update on this character, and there has been a lot of new changes for this character, and the first thing I want to show you guys, just to start off this video, is just my combat power, and I'll share with you guys how I managed to get here. Currently, I am sitting at 191 mil combat power. I believe the last time I left off, I was probably close to about 100 mil combat power, so this is almost a straight doubling, and going from 100 to 200 is a pretty significant jump, so let me walk you guys through some of the things that I did to reach this goal. The first thing that I needed to share with you guys was in December, we had not one, but 2 Shining Star Force events. They were spread out between, I believe, the beginning and the end of the month, and my main goal at the time was just simply to Starforce up the arcane gear on this character. I believe at the time my arcanes were the only items left that needed to be 22'd, everything else had already hit 22. What better time to Starforce arcanes than on a Shining? I believe I went into the first one with about 70 bill, quite a lot of money, but the issue at the time was that I had actually blown up all of the spares that I already had. So the only arcanes I had on me at the time were just the ones that I was wearing. Meaning that every time that I would blow up an arcane, I would actually have to go ahead and walk to the shops in either Lachlan or Esfera to buy either the Lucid items or the Will item. With 70 bill going into this event, I had a pretty good chance of hitting 1 or maybe even 2 items to 22, including the amount of money that I would have to spend to actually go ahead and buy them back in case they did blow up. I simply started off by just rouletting each of the items. I wanted to try to get each of them to 19 star first before I started pushing them further than 19 star. Very simple process here, because once we hit all the gear to 19 star, they were just going to be sent from 19 all the way to 22. I wasn't planning on stopping at 21 on any of these items, but I did want to come out of the event with at least a little bit of progress. So you guys can see here, I'm just rouletting each of the items all the way to 19 star. And then once I hit 19 star, I decided to go through the Lucid items. I started off with my gloves, and unfortunately the first one blew up. So you can see here, I'm just simply walking back to the shops, and I had to go ahead and buy a new glove. I think my first couple, I didn't have to pay any money for the droplets. I had some from the events at the time, but you guys will see quite soon that I do spend quite a lot of money having to buy a lot of the droplets from the shop, and each of the individual armor pieces costs about 5 bill to replace them, so it is very expensive on the droplets. Ideally you don't want to have to buy them, but because I was just trying my best to focus on my main, it was just a cost that I had to prepare to pay. And an also annoying thing about this was that every time I blew it up, I actually had to leave the guild room so that I could go buy the item and then come back into the guild room so then I could get the little bit of extra chances of star forcing through the guild hall. It is a little bit of a frustrating experience, so ideally I would encourage you guys to save up as many spares as you can for an event. Don't be like me and don't tap items off event. There's a reason why I had no spares. I tapped everything, I think about 2 weeks prior to this on stream, and I think I blew up about 8 arcanes on stream before going into this event. And thankfully on my second glove, it did manage to hit 22. So far so good. let's move on to the next item. So at this point, I'm in a pretty good position. I think I've already spent about 20 bill and have hit 122 star. That's a pretty good bargain, especially for arcanes. Arcanes can be pretty expensive because you do have to safeguard them, or rather, I do recommend people safeguarding them. They do take a while to get, and if you don't get lucky with the boxes, you can be stuck on arcanes for quite a while. I'm going to skip forward a little bit here to each of the times that this cape boomed. I do remember blowing this cape up quite a few times. I think I had to buy perhaps 3 or 4 different capes throughout the event, which is pretty expensive. 3 or 4 capes being basically 15 to 20 bill by themselves just on the droplets. And yeah, that is pretty brutal. And then finally, with about 15 bill left to spare, I did manage to hit the cape to 22. I think I started this cape at about 50 bill, so overall it took about 35 bill in this one particular session to get it to 22, and a good chunk of it was, again, just buying the droplets. So overall, the actual star forcing cost for this cape wasn't too bad. A lot of it was just the droplets. At this point, I'm feeling pretty good. I only have 16 bill left. It'd be pretty greedy of me to go for more gains, but of course I was streaming at the time, so I was feeling kind of lucky. 16 bill left over to try to hit one more item to 22 star is pretty greedy. I probably wouldn't recommend it, especially for somebody in my situation where, in hindsight, if this shoulder blew up and then I had to go and buy another shoulder, I would have 10 bill to try to recover a 19 star, which isn't exactly the smartest thing to do. The chances already in just the pure star forcing cost is already on the low roll side. Like hitting it within 16 bill is already kind of low. And gambling with an additional 5 bill per boom is not that good of an idea. But sometimes miracles do happen. Within the last 4 or so bill, it did end up going to 22 star. Finishing up actually in this one event, all 3 of my arcanes within about 70 bill. 30 of those went into just buying the droplets, so overall in terms of pure star forcing, about 40 bill spent, which is actually pretty insane considering they are arcane pieces and I safeguarded each of them. Prior to this event, I had already spent about 60 bill off event, so maybe it was just it evening out. I was pretty lucky in this event. I don't think that I should have tried to do that because towards the end of the tapping, I only had about 3 bill left, so if the shoulders actually did blow up from 21 to 22, I'd be left with no shoulders. A little bit too risky in hindsight, but that's fine. And yeah, here we are. We managed to be full 22 stars. So I'll just quickly show you guys my items here. Everything now is 22 star. We have all of our accessories, including now a continuous 4. I don't believe I showed this in the previous video, but I did eventually manage to get a continuous 4 ring. I think for this continuous 4, I got it from a random hard wheel run that I just didn't record, of course. But again, everything is currently at 22 star with the exceptions of my CRA pieces. They are still all at 21, and I'll talk a little bit about those in a little bit. But yeah, we're looking pretty good here in terms of our star forcing. Effectively, just waiting for new items here. But that wasn't the only thing that I had to do to gain as much combat power as I did. Last month, I liberated in MapleStory. Liberation means that I have cleared Black Mage enough times to unlock the Genesis weapon. It takes about 8 or 9 months to clear, and given the fact that it is a monthly clear, I had to wait pretty much a whole year for it, and from Liberation, we got our Genesis weapon. The Genesis weapon is the current best in slot weapon. Not only is it a 22 star level 200 weapon, it also comes with a passive that gives you 10% final damage, and it gives you a nice iframe as well. Typically for most players, once you have completed the upgrades for your Genesis weapon, it gives you about a 20% to 30% final damage increase, which is insane. So you can see here, I am currently working on flaming up and cubing my Genesis weapon. I'm not going to show you guys the flaming and cubing process because it's quite long, but I can show you guys the end result, and it is pretty amazing, I'd say, for how much I spent. In terms of the black flames, the first thing that I wanted to look for was just simply a tier 6 attack flame with some boss damage. And as you guys can see here, my attack flame is a tier 7 attack flame. And not only that, it came with 8% boss damage, which is amazing. The chances of us seeing even a tier 7 in general is about 1%, and randomly getting it on the magic attack line with additional boss damage makes this better than almost any other combination that I can get for cheap. And I managed to get this quite cheap, so I'm very happy that this tier 7 with boss damage flame came on my Genesis staff. And as you guys can see as well, I do have a magic attack soul. I think I didn't actually hit this on the day that I liberated, I had to wait for a couple of events to finally hit my magic attack soul, and I'm very grateful for it. These were a bit of a pain to get, and I went through my entire stack. I don't think I have any more very good souls, if any at all. But yeah, as you guys can see here, I had a lot of them saved up, and they are currently 0 in my storage at the moment, which is where I usually leave them. And also, to complete it, I do have a nice potential here. It is sitting at 13 attack, 10 attack, and 30 boss damage. I don't think I'll ever be re-rolling this. I could, in theory, re-roll it for 3 lines of magic attack, but I do think that is quite expensive, and I think, personally, I would rather spend the same amount of meso on my mules, which is currently what I'm working on. If you guys have seen the stuff on my channel, I am working on about 5 different characters, and in the future, very soon, I'm going to be releasing a Star Forcing video on my Demon Avenger, where I spend quite a lot of money on it, so do keep an eye on that. And with that said, those were the main upgrades I made over the last couple of months. Got our Genesis weapon, nice and done, and we have finished up the Star Forcing on this character, which is so freeing for me because now I can spend all of my money on other characters that I am currently playing. As I said earlier, I am not really playing this character as much. I have been at this percentage for quite a while. I should have been 281 a long while ago as of recording this video, but yeah, I haven't really been pushing it. And as you guys can see here, I do have a bunch of symbols that honestly have not made that much progress. I do feel a little bit bad for this character, but at the same time, I'm just enjoying myself too much playing different characters. And just to round things off, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Chaos Root Abyss gear. All of them are currently sitting at 21 stars like I showed earlier, and that is because I plan on replacing them with Eternal gear. But I have come across a slight problem. I blew up my Eternal hat. This was done on the following Shining Star Force event. I was trying to get this hat to 19 star. I really don't feel like 22ing the CRA gear. I feel like it is quite expensive given the fact that I am going for Eternal gear. And I tried to go for 19 star, which is a very comfortable increase over the 21 star CRA. I definitely could have settled at 18 or even 17 star. I greeded a little bit, but because it was a Shining Star Force, I really wanted to see how far it would go. And unfortunately, it didn't get past 18, and it is currently sitting as a trace. In terms of my Grandest parties, I am still working on getting more of these fragments to be able to buy more of my Eternal pieces. I think with the next 2 items, I just need to do 2 more weeks of Carlos and 3 more of Carling, and I should be able to be 2 set. I do plan on actually settling on 17 star top and bottom. The reason for this is because I realized that 17 star should beat out 21 star in terms of just straight conversions, but also these items, the flames and pots are pretty average. Even my top is not even 3-lined, so I think a 17 star top and bottom should be equal, if not just a little bit worse, but I think that's okay given the fact that eventually I'll get back this hat. I believe the rough math is that 17 star Eternal 3 set is ever so slightly better than 21 star CRA 3 set. I should have settled on 18. I do regret it a little bit because it does take a while. 10 weeks is a long time for one piece of equipment, so yeah, we'll just be good in the future and leave our future top and bottom at 17, and we'll just accept it for what it is. And with all those gains, like I said guys, I am now currently sitting at 190 mil. I do have a few fams that boost my combat power a little bit. I'm currently using 2 attack fams, one at 6% and one at 5%. The last one I either use a HP fam depending on the boss, and sometimes I do use a 30% IED fam here. With these fams out, I am closer to 205 mil combat power, and of course some of this is potentially influenced by whatever title I'm currently wearing. Currently I'm wearing the title from the Shade event, and this is probably the best in slot title that we'll be using that isn't a event title, meaning that this is going to be pretty much where my Battle Mage will be for a very long time. Until I can start replacing more of my gear with Pitch Boss. So for example, I do have this Magic Eye patch which is part of the Pitch Boss set. Until I get some more Pitch Boss, I don't think my combat power is going to be raising very much, and similarly it will go up a little bit when I start moving on to Eternals, but it will take me a while to even make some progress on this because I'm going to be taking them very carefully this time. I'm going to get each of them to 17 first, and once I have another spare, I might consider rouletting them all the way to 22, but that will be a very long process and it will be quite a while until I reach that point. And with that guys, I think this will probably be the last update I'll be doing on this Battle Mage. I have hit the point on this character where I am happy to just stop spending so much money. I have a lot of items that could be fixed up a few percentages on the potentials. I have a lot of missing 3s and 6s on a lot of my items, and I think I would rather spend the same amount on my other characters, even though I could fix up these potentials. I am enjoying my other characters a lot, like I have been saying. My Xenon and Wild Hunter are currently sitting at level 270. I have been working on training my mechanic, which is currently sitting at level 263. And of course, I am working as well on this Demon Avenger. I have 2 more characters that I have been working on very slowly, which include my Pathfinder sitting at level 231, and my Blaster that is sitting at level 230 as well. In the future, I'll probably have a few more characters that I would be working on, thanks to a current event called the Champion Burning. If you guys would like to see some more things about this Champion Burning, let me know in the comments, because I don't really have any content plans for them just yet, but if you guys are interested to see what I am doing with this Champion Burning, please let me know. And with that being said, guys, that will be it for a very long time in terms of updates on this Battle Mage. I think this is as far as I am willing to go in terms of the end game. I know there is a lot of new content that could be worked on, but honestly, I think I'm happy working on a lot of strong individual characters as opposed to one really big one. Thank you all so much for supporting me on this channel so far, and my series on my Battle Mage and my progression in general. I will still be making updates across other characters. It's just this Battle Mage I think will be called complete for an indefinite amount of time. I appreciate all of your support. Without you guys, I couldn't have made it this far in my progression. Like I said, I originally planned on just stopping at Hard Lotus, but here we are on a 200 mil combat power character that is able to do quite a lot of bosses solo, including Black Mage. And I think that is pretty much all that I really wanted to do on this character. Now I'm just doing normal party content. I'm no longer restricting myself to any of the content, and it's been a lot of fun working on a lot of different characters. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed the content on my channel, please give the videos a like. It helps me out a lot. And if you want to see more from me, please consider subscribing to the channel. Take care, guys. I'll see you all in the next one.